live from the Richard Harris Law Firm studios.
0-0 in the opening 7 minutes. Eichel to the line, Hurdle back for Eichel. He sends it in front, and he scores! What a back-and-forth setup for the Golden Knights. Pavel Dorofeev back and forth with Eichel, and the Knights take a 1-0 lead.
With Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
Eichel works in, swarmed by the Hurricanes. Curls right, hands it off, Theodore carving through. He shoots, save, rebound, score! Dorofeev pulls the rebound off the pads of the goaltender Bussey from his backhand to his forehead. Dorofeev's second goal of the final. Both have come in Game 5. And now the Knights trail 4-2 with 6:11 to go in the third period.
This is the VGK Insiders Show.
3 seconds to go. This one is over. The Carolina Hurricanes take Game 5, 4-2 from the Golden Knights.
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Welcome in, Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Ryan Wallace, Ruben Guerrero with you for the next 2 hours. It's an off day in the Stanley Cup Final. The Vegas Golden Knights trail the Carolina Hurricanes 3-2. Game 6, a must-win game for the Vegas Golden Knights. Coming at you Sunday, 5 p.m. puck drop in that one. And for Vegas, it's about finding their best game of the series. So often in this postseason, when we have talked about the Vegas Golden Knights in an opportunity to close out an opponent, they have responded in those moments by playing their best game of the postseason. It happened against Utah. It happened against Anaheim. It certainly happened in the closeout against the Colorado Avalanche. They're going to need to get to that level in 6 on Sunday to keep this series going and give themselves an opportunity, a chance to win the Stanley Cup in game number 7 back in Carolina. We're going to open the phone line, 702-876-1340. Now that you've got a little bit of time, some separation from last night's game, I do wonder how Golden Knights fans are feeling right now as we look ahead toward an opportunity for the Vegas Golden Knights. Because that's what Game 6 is. It's an opportunity. I know last night a lot of the conversation in the post-game show was pessimistic, was essentially giving up on this series, but I would caution you, if you're a Golden Knights fan, to not give up too quickly. Don't give up too easily, right? Like, there's a reason why it takes 4 wins to win a series and win the Stanley Cup here. I know Carolina's got 3, but they don't have 4. And until they have 4, the Golden Knights have a chance, and that is the opportunity in front of the Vegas Golden Knights. So if you are a Golden Knights fan, I want to hear from you right now on the VGK Insider Show. Again, the number is 702-876-1340. Give me a reason, one reason, why you believe wholeheartedly the Golden Knights are going to win Game 6 on Sunday night and force Game 7. 702-876-1340. Let's bring in Mike. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Well, I believe wholeheartedly there will be a Game 7 because this series has to go 7 games. Anything less than that would be ridiculous. And that's the way it's going to be, and we'll see where the chips fall on Wednesday, the 17th of June. I don't have any idea how to predict that one, but I feel very confident that the VGK will win Game 6. And more importantly, I want to ask this question and then make room for everybody else. Back on July 1st, when we signed, and of course I say VGK signed, Mitch Marner, I felt that day we had laid the groundwork for another Stanley Cup. We had a second round and a first round exit over the last 2 years prior to that. And I just felt that was the missing piece. Now, I realize, and you're going to elaborate on this, that wasn't the last move that Kelly and George made. There were other tinkering kind of moves that needed to be made. But I thought that Mitch Marner was the key to this success that we're enjoying now. What say you to all of that?
I mean, it's hard to argue against that, right? Like, I think Mitch has been phenomenal. And you look at regular season for Mitch Marner, just under a point per game, right? 80 points in 81 games. Didn't play the full 80 because he didn't play that first game coming back off of the Olympics. But a point per game, thereabouts, for a guy that was playing in a new system with a new team in a new environment, not to mention the fact that he was bouncing around from right wing to left wing to center ice and played center quite a bit because of injury necessitating that switch. Like, I think it was a tremendous initial season for Mitch Marner. I think he's only going to get better. And when you start to look at what he's done in the postseason, and the majority of the postseason, Marner playing on the right side of William Karlsson and Brett Howden, that line had been tremendous for the Golden Knights throughout the postseason since Karlsson got back after injury. He's got 10 goals and he leads the playoffs in scoring. Like, you're right. He has been absolutely everything for the Vegas Golden Knights. He has been the driver for them in this postseason run. A lot of the good that Vegas has had offensively, defensively, all of it in this race to 16 wins has been because of Mitch Marner, for sure.
And I will say that come hell or high water, we will be playing Wednesday, June 17th, and this upcoming Sunday will be the 111th game of the year. I'm feeling every one of those right now, as I know you are. So let's make it 112, and then we'll let, as I said before, the chips fall where they may. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. Really appreciate the call. 702-876-1340. That's the number. If you're a Golden Knights fan, I want to hear from you. This is your opportunity. It's the last time we're going to talk before Game 6, a must-win game for the Vegas Golden Knights on Sunday. So pick up the phone and dial the number. I want one reason you believe the Golden Knights will win Game 6. That's what I'm after. If you've got questions, you can throw them my way as well. If you're asking me for a William Karlsson update, I can save you the time. I don't have an update yet on William Karlsson. We'll see as we get closer to Game 6 on Sunday. The immediate aftermath, the immediate media availability from John Tortorella yesterday doesn't necessarily indicate that Karlsson will be an option, but we'll see where things fall for the Golden Knights leading into Game 6 on Sunday. Again, 702-876-1340. Let's bring in Rob. Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, man? I tell you what, last night's game, I'm going to be completely honest, we weren't ready. I don't know what happened with them, but Carolina's just shooting and shooting and shooting. Our defense was not too solid, but in order to win Sunday, we need to have a lot of heart, and we have to really want this game. If they want this game, they will win it, go back to Carolina, and hopefully it doesn't go to overtime. We can wrap it up there. But well, from what I saw yesterday, to be honest, I'm scared, brother. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the call, Rob. I'll push back on the idea that the Golden Knights weren't ready. I thought that Vegas played their best first period of the series. Just flat out. I thought that they were excellent in the first period. It was really kind of the first time in the series for the Golden Knights where they were able to dictate play in the opening frame. Like, there's been some first periods in this series where not a lot goes on, but the Golden Knights weren't outshot. They were the team that had more shots at the end of the opening frame. They had some really good scoring chances. I thought Vegas was absolutely ready. I thought their first period was excellent. It was the second period for me where Vegas loses a little bit of momentum because of a couple of penalties that they take back-to-back. Then you've got Carolina scoring on the second penalty, and everything kind of unraveled from that point. But even then, I don't view Game 5 as the Vegas Golden Knights not being ready to play. I could be in the minority on that. I could be looking at it in a different way than most people are, but I thought the Golden Knights were really, really good out of the gate in game number 5. They're going to have to be again here in Game 6. 702-876-1340. That's the number. Let's bring in Ben. Hey, Ben, how you doing?
Hey, Ryan. How's it going?
I'm good, buddy.
I think that the Golden Knights are going to win Game 6 because they've weathered storms all season long. They trailed more than every other team in the National Hockey League besides the Vancouver Canucks, who were the worst team in the NHL. And yet they finished first in their division. They won the Western Conference, and now they're in the Stanley Cup final. They've done this all season long. And yes, their backs are up against the wall for the first time in these playoffs and for the first time all season. However, I think building that experience and weathering storms endlessly and going through lows and highs and comebacks and blown leads and still finding these ways to win, it's going to show up. That's my firm belief. I think that it's going to show up on Sunday, and I think that it's going to show up in Game 7.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I believe the Golden Knights are going to win Game 6. I absolutely believe the Golden Knights are going to win Game 6. And, Ben, I'll tell you, one of the main things for me going into Game 6 is the fact that Pavel Dorofeev potted a couple of goals in Game 5. Like, what we have seen out of Dorofeev over the course of this postseason is that when he gets one, he usually gets two. He got two last night, and then he's on the hook. He's going to have 3 or 4 more goals. Like, that's just how Dorofeev goes. So I believe the Golden Knights are going to win Game 6, and I think Pavel Dorofeev is going to be a big piece of doing that.
And it's interesting, if you look at today's game, like you were just saying, I didn't hate Vegas' start at all. In fact, I think it was excellent. I thought that they started the game excellent. I thought that their forecheck got to work. Just a couple bad penalties, self-inflicted wounds, couple turnovers. It's going to happen, unfortunately. You can kind of look at that game and honestly walk away and say Carolina got lucky. It's okay. Shake it off. Stay the course, and we'll see what happens. I don't think it's egregious to say that Vegas played a very good game, and it's not going to hurt anything not to change anything up, if you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I agree with that, Ben, and I think the more that I sit with that game last night, the more that I kind of view the Golden Knights' overall game. And, the fact that Carolina puts 2 in on the power play, but outside of that, I didn't find them to be particularly dangerous offensively, 5-on-5 anyway. I think the Golden Knights are in a better spot than most people think. And now there's no margin for error, right? Like, you've got to go out, you've got to get a win, you've got to find a way to extend this to the maximum number of games. But I think for the Golden Knights, if you can replicate the start and you can limit the mistakes that derailed Vegas in the second period, they've got a great chance of forcing a Game 7 here.
100%. And if you go back and look at Brandon Bussey, I think that he's been very good throughout the course of these last 2 games. Mm-hmm. But he's not infallible. He's going to make a mistake. He's going to let a couple behind him. It's part of being a goalie, and I think we saw that. Brett Howden had a few really good looks last night. Jack Eichel hit the crossbar, obviously. I feel like the chances are there. The execution just hasn't really been there. Meanwhile, Carolina on the other side of it has been very opportunistic. So I think if they just keep playing the way that they're playing, maybe just switching up a little bit, putting it in deep a little more, stop playing east-west, stop forcing passes, and go out there and play their game, I think that they'll be okay, right? And maybe that's just the dumb, optimistic fan in me, but we're in kind of the hole right now, right? We're 3-2 in the series. We don't really have a choice but to say, well, the Golden Knights' backs are up against the wall as hard as they can be right now, right? The Stanley Cup is on the line. So we just got to hope for the best and see what they can do.
All right, good stuff, Ben. Thanks so much for the call. Really appreciate it. Enjoy Game 6. 702-876-1340, that's the number. Let's bring in Chad. Hey, Chad, how you doing?
I'm great. I think we got to avoid penalties. The referees have had their way with us. This last game was a perfect example. The 4-minute, I don't know if we should have gotten 4 minutes. Stone wasn't even looking at the player, and his stick trailed him. I'm not saying it wasn't a penalty, but not a 4-minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it is a double minor. It draws blood on Jalen Chatfield. It did cause an injury on the play. So if it's going to cause an injury, generally speaking, if you see blood, but if it causes an injury and it's a high sticking penalty, it's going to be a double minor every single time.
Well, then we've got to use our home ice advantage in the crowd and just stay away from those penalties because we gave up 2 goals on power plays last night, and we just can't give up 2 easy ones.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think, the way that I kind of viewed Game 5, I wanted to see the Golden Knights penalty kill come up with a clean game. I didn't want to see any power play goals for Carolina because when Carolina gets going and when they've had success on the power play, it's informed their 5-on-5 ability to score, and that certainly happened yesterday. But, to your point, you can't give them anything for free, right? John Tortorella talked about it after Game 4, the game winner for Jordan Stahl. He felt that was a play given away for free. The 2 goals for Andrei Svechnikov on the power play would certainly fall into that category as well.
All right, appreciate the show. Great job. Love listening.
All right, good stuff, Chad. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. 702-876-1340. That's the number. If you're a Golden Knights fan, I want one reason why you believe the Golden Knights are going to win Game 6 and force Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final. It's very simple. It could be anything you want it to be. I'm leaning into Pavel Dorofeev, and I do want to touch on something that Ben brought up about execution for the Golden Knights, because I saw some of this discourse last night after the game, and it's really the last couple of games, I think, for the Golden Knights. The idea that the goal scoring for Vegas is drying up, or it's not where it had been earlier on in the series. Now, I would push back on that just in terms of the chances that Vegas has been able to generate over the last 2 games. I know they only scored 3 goals in Game 4, but you look at the play for Braden McNabb that was created with just about a half a second left in the first period. McNabb gets a great look. It's a cross-ice pass. It's a one-timer into the back of the goal. It just doesn't beat the buzzer, but the plays Vegas are making are generating enough offense to score. Jack Eichel hit a crossbar. Jack Eichel also put a puck right over the top of the goal in a 6-on-5 situation that could have tied the game for the Vegas Golden Knights in Game 4 as well. Then you fast forward to Game 5. Shea Theodore rips one off the post. Then you had Tomas Hertl in and around the front of the net, unable to stuff in a rebound chance. There have been good looks for the Golden Knights over the last 2 games. There's no doubt about that. And I'm not going to take anything away from Brandon Bussi. He has come into this series in an impossible spot, and he has gotten the job done for Carolina over the last 2 games. He really has. There's no denying that. But I do believe the Golden Knights are still creating and generating enough opportunities, enough chances to be able to put the puck in the back of the net against Carolina. Execution hasn't been at the highest level for Vegas over the last couple of games, and that will ebb and flow over the course of a series. It'll ebb and flow over the course of the playoffs. We have had times where there have been certain players that are going, times where certain players couldn't miss, and that's just where you are right now in the Stanley Cup Final. But I do believe that as far as chances go, as far as generating looks, as far as the Golden Knights' offensive game goes, they're still in a good spot. They're still creating against this Carolina team. And if you can continue to create, the chances will be there, the goals will come. I firmly believe that. And another thing Ben was talking about as far as Brandon Bussi goes, like, he's been good, but he's not infallible. You can beat this goaltender. You can throw enough pucks and enough chances to the front of the net to be able to find enough goals to win. Now, I also wanted to touch on a couple of things just in terms of what we learned coming out of last night's game. William Karlsson, that's one of the main talking points, one of the main things that you are going to be focusing on as a Vegas Golden Knights fan. Karlsson left the game in the second period, appeared to jam something up, upper body. That's just based on observation, right? Like, we don't know the particulars. We have no idea what Karlsson is dealing with. All we know is he left the game in the second period and didn't return. John Tortorella, after the game last night, didn't necessarily give any indication of what to expect outside of that he's not necessarily expecting Karlsson back. Now, we've seen players play through some crazy things, right? Like the fact that Braden McNabb didn't miss a game after taking an 87-mile-per-hour slap shot off the face would give you an indication that perhaps, right, perhaps there's an opportunity for the Golden Knights and William Karlsson. But we don't know. We have no idea. That all being said, if Karlsson can't go, there's going to need to be something that changes for the Golden Knights in terms of their lineup. Whether that's Riley Smith, whether that's Brandon Saad, or a different configuration of the line combinations, that's what John Tortorella is going to have to determine between now and game number 6. I've got my thoughts on where I'd like to see the Golden Knights lines go. I have some ideas of what worked earlier on in the series and what would be great to see moving forward. But again, it all hinges on William Karlsson and his availability. Because I think if Karlsson is able to go, and again, I don't have any insight. We don't have an update. We're not sure about William Karlsson and his availability. If Karlsson's able to go, that does change a lot of what the Golden Knights are able to do. And it might change what John Tortorella ultimately decides to do with his line combinations as well. We'll take a break, come back with more on the VGK Insider Show. It's Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Now, back to the VGK Insider Show.
VGK Insider Show rolling along here. It's a Friday, off day, Game 6 Sunday. It's a must-win for the Vegas Golden Knights. Ryan Wallace hanging out with you. Darren Millard expected to join us in just a little bit. Travel day for Mallard. You know, checking in on the text line, 702-876-1340. If you didn't get the opportunity to call in, you can always send in your thoughts, instant reactions, anything Vegas Golden Knights related to the text line. We love to hear from you there. And it's interesting because, you know, I look at the Golden Knights and the idea of giving up with this team, it's never an option. It hasn't been an option all season long. It hasn't been an option under John Tortorella. And that's a part of why the Golden Knights are here in the Stanley Cup final. It's one of the main reasons why the Golden Knights are 2 wins away from winning a Stanley Cup. We can all look at it from the opposite point of view, right? You can choose to be negative or you could choose to be positive. You could choose to believe that there is still an avenue for this team to win the Stanley Cup. And it all starts with one game, and it's Game 6. And then you might be wondering to yourself, okay, what does it look like when the Golden Knights are facing elimination? Because for the first time this postseason, the Golden Knights are facing elimination. This is not a team throughout their history that has faced elimination that much. Overall record, 3-6. 9 times the Vegas Golden Knights have faced elimination. They're 3-6 in those 9 games. However, we all know, and I think we can all accept, that if not for the debacle in San Jose, where the Golden Knights had a 3-0 lead in Game 7, Year 2, and rules were changed in the National Hockey League after what happened in that game, they're likely 4-5 in elimination games. But beyond that, I think you look at the Golden Knights, and it's more to me about the last couple of elimination games for Vegas. It's their last elimination game win more than anything else, because it happened against the Dallas Stars. It happened after Vegas lost Game 5 in Dallas. They were able to come back home in Game 6. They were able to put together a really tidy, efficient 2-0 shutout victory of the Dallas Stars, and it forced a Game 7 in that series. It's the exact same scenario. And that is one of the most recent situations for the Golden Knights where they are facing elimination, and they were able to get the job done on home ice in Game 6 and force a Game 7. I believe the Golden Knights are going to win Game 6. Now, a lot of the text line is centered around line combinations for the Golden Knights going into Game 6. What should it look like for Vegas? Now, you recall early on in the series, to start the series, John Tortorella had balance throughout the lineup. Barbashev, Eichel, and Dorofeev, Howden, Karlsson, and Marner, and your third line featured Tomas Hertl, Colton Sissons, and Mark Stone. That combination for the Vegas Golden Knights did a lot of really good things in the first 2 games against the Carolina Hurricanes. Number one, they were able to score, right? Like, you got contributions from effectively all 3 lines. You remember Sissons to Hertl, that's the game winner in game number 1. Some big performances from Mitch Marner, Brett Howden. Balance certainly fit the Golden Knights early on in the series, and in some ways, I'd love to see it move back in that direction for Vegas, but then again, you've got a must-win game coming up. We have seen more of Mitch Marner, Jack Eichel, and Mark Stone. And while that line has been able to do some things for the Golden Knights, specifically they force an icing that leads to the game's opening goal last night in Game 5, I think that I'd like to see that line more in different spots or scenarios, like off of an icing, an offensive zone faceoff. Those scenarios, those situations where you can throw those three players over the boards, understanding how good they are, how talented they are offensively. Maybe you win a shift or two. Maybe you turn it into a situation where you're able to roll over and lean on Carolina in the offensive zone. But I would lean more toward balance going into Game 6. And a lot of people, again, on the text line are wondering what I would look at as far as the line combinations go. And I don't know that I'm there on the idea of having Mark Stone on your third line with Colton Sissons and Tomas Hertl. I think in this scenario, especially without William Karlsson, if Karlsson doesn't play in Game 6, I'd like to see a little bit more in your top 6 than balancing things out with a top 9. Meaning, I'd love to see Barbashev, Eichel, and Stone, because that's a line you know can get the job done. It's happened before. They have had success together. They can score and they will score, especially in a must-win game. But then what do you do with your second line? You don't move Howden away from Marner. That duo to me is locked in. So do you throw Hertl on the wing there? Do you put Howden down the middle? Do you put Howden on the left and put Hertl down the middle? I don't know what that combination looks like, but I'd probably lean into Tomas Hertl alongside Brett Howden and Mitch Marner. Then the question becomes, if Karlsson can't play, who comes into the lineup for the Golden Knights? Is it going to be Riley Smith? Is it going to be Brandon Saad? Quite honestly, a lot of people on the text line are leaning into Riley Smith, the original misfit, the magic for Riley Smith, all of those things. I don't know which direction Torts is going to lean. You know, because you're trying to figure out a combination on what would effectively be either your third or second line, depending on how you balance things out, of a player that can come in and be impactful. Because, again, in a must-win game, in a Game 6 where you have to win in order to force Game 7 and keep your season going, you've got to find a way to make sure every single player in the lineup is impactful. So I think it would be either Riley Smith or Brandon Saad. I think that's the obvious choice. You're going to lean on players that have been here before, that have been in these moments before. We know Smith has done it with the Vegas Golden Knights. We know Brandon Saad was a big piece, key piece of a couple of championship-winning teams in Chicago. So you know the pedigree is there with those two players. You know that they can come in and give you solid minutes. And so for the Golden Knights, I think it really does boil down to one of those two players. Michael says, I believe the Knights will win the next two games due to an original misfit coming back into the lineup, and his name is Riley Smith. Yeah, again, I think it's a toss-up between Smith and Saad. Like, genuinely, that's what I believe. Wynn says he believes the Golden Knights are going to win Game 6 because they did play better in the first period yesterday. They did. I go back to the game last night. I thought the Golden Knights were excellent in the first 20 minutes. You know, and again, like Torts talked about it after the game, he felt the team lost momentum because of the penalties and then losing William Karlsson. And you can't really look at Game 5 in any other way. Like, the Golden Knights had some really good minutes under their belt. Torts talked about really good minutes under their belt, and then you lose it for a little bit because of penalties and because now you're trying to figure out the configuration of your forwards without one of your most important pieces in William Karlsson. So I like the fact that the Golden Knights pushed back late in the third period. I like the fact that they were one post away from Shea Theodore from making it a one-goal game. There was a sense of urgency from Carolina when Vegas made it 4-2. That wasn't there because we all looked at each other, they all looked at each other and said, okay, here we go again. Because that's what this series has been through 4.5 games. I do think it was right there for the Golden Knights. It just didn't pan out the way that they'd like it to. So, long story short, I think I'm looking at Stone alongside Barbashev and Eichel. I think you lean on that top line, you lean on that configuration of players because they have gotten the job done before. Then take your pick on Riley Smith or Brandon Saad. They'll come into the lineup, but I like the idea of Hertl playing with Howden and Marner. Because again, I think you're going to need your top six to deliver in the moments you need them to. James says they're going to win Game 7. They have played 2 games a man down. The comeback was on in the third. They will keep that momentum. Jake says VGK will need superstars to not be denied, like Jordan Staal. We haven't had a player assert themselves for the majority of the game. Jake, I disagree. Mitch Marner had a hat trick in Game 4. Game 3. Mitch Marner was undeniable in Game 3 for the Golden Knights. I know Carolina came back. I know Game 3 was wild. But Marner has had stretches and moments, not just in the postseason, but in this series where he has been that guy. And I'm not taking anything away from Jordan Staal. The fact that he has scored in every single game of the Stanley Cup Final is ridiculous. He is having a tremendous series. But the reality for me is Mitch Marner can get to that level. He has in this series. I wouldn't be shocked if he comes with a massive game in Game 6. And, you know, I think now as Jake responds, 1 period for Marner. It's not 1 period. I don't understand why we do this. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. It's not just the points. It's not just the goals. It's not just filling the back of the net. There are so many other things that happen inside of a hockey game that are important, that matter, and Marner's doing them on both sides of the puck. I know that a lot of people have been talking about Jack Eichel. We're seeing comments in the text line about Jack Eichel getting into the series. And I've been saying it now for a couple of games. He's getting close. And I know that in an elimination game, facing elimination on Sunday, getting close isn't going to get it done, right? Like, you've got to break through. You've got to come through for your team. Jack, I thought, was good in Game 5. The pass to Dorofeev on the power play to open up the scoring was tremendous. It's Jack again making an elite play to help get that game to 4-2. I like Jack's game. I know that he has put the puck off of some posts. I know that he's been in and around it. There have been chances, opportunities. I think for Jack, he just needs one to go. And once he does, in a lot of ways, like we talk about with Pavel Dorofeev, maybe not 5 goals, but I think once Jack gets one to fall, everything's going to fall into place for him. Now, the idea or the thought of where to put Pavel Dorofeev, right? Because I like the idea of Stone alongside Eichel and Barbashev. I like the idea of Marner with Howden and Hertl. Then you start to wonder, okay, where does Dorofeev fit? Third line situation with Smith and Saad, Sissons. Is that going to maximize Pavel Dorofeev? Maybe not. Do you go back to, or do you think about going into the line that started this series? Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, Pavel Dorofeev? I mean, maybe. Like, I think everything's on the table for the Golden Knights. I think every option is there and available for John Tortorella as to what he might want to do. But if you do lean Barbashev, Eichel, and Dorofeev, then that does open the option for you to have Mark Stone, Sissons, and Tomas Hertl together as well. And that was a line that we did see at the beginning of this series. That was a line that certainly got the job done for the Golden Knights. Had some big moments for Vegas early on when Vegas was ahead in the series, when they were able to apply the pressure to Carolina and keep themselves away from these important games, these must-win situations. So I don't know. I think that that's certainly an option on the table. I'd rather see Eichel and Barbashev together. Now, can you throw Dorofeev out there with Howden and Marner? Absolutely. Can you link up Hertl and Dorofeev together because of old chemistry? We know what they've been able to do. Yeah, probably, especially if you bring Brandon Saad into the lineup if William Karlsson can't go. Because we know, right, that we have seen some good things out of Saad, Hurdle, and Dorofeev in the past. That's going to be the really interesting thing for me moving forward. I think the big thing that you look at going into Game 6 is simply what's available for Vegas. Can William Karlsson go, or is William Karlsson out of the lineup? Then, what do you covet more if you're John Tortorella? Are you loading things up, or are you trying to balance things out? And that's really what's at stake and what John's going to have to sort through and figure out going into Game 6. Now, the other thing that I keep seeing here, and it'll be interesting when Mallard's on the program to get his thoughts on it. We'll talk about goaltending for just a minute. I can tell you right now, Carter Hart is going to be in net for Game 6. Firmly believe it. I know I'm seeing a lot of Adin Hill. I know that Carter has allowed 4 goals in every game of the Stanley Cup final. I'm not hiding from that in any way, shape, or form. However, I would also tell you that there have been some big saves that Carter Hart has made over the course of this series. There have been some big moments, some big stops that have resulted in wins for Vegas. Their 2 wins in this series, there have been at least a couple, 1, 2, 3, big-time stops from Carter Hart when it's mattered the most, when it's been needed the most by his team. And I said this yesterday on the pregame show going into game number 5. This could very well be a series where you look at it and you throw out every single goaltending statistic that you care about, that you keep an eye on. You throw out goals against average, you throw out save percentage, you throw out everything that isn't wins and losses. Because I think based on what you heard yesterday from Torts, that he wasn't thinking of going to Adin Hill after the second period. He knows Carter Hart better than anybody else. He has been with Carter before in his career at this level. John Tortorella has the utmost faith in Carter Hart to deliver a tremendous performance with this team facing elimination. And I don't see Torts wavering from that at all. You make the coaching change, you bring in John Tortorella simply because he's the guy that's going to be making these decisions. He's the guy that has brought this team from where they were 8 games left in the regular season to where they are right now, 2 wins away from a Stanley Cup championship. You're going to trust in what John Tortorella wants to do. You're going to trust in his belief in his players, in his room to go out there and figure it out. And that's from the net out. It's from Carter Hart through the defense, through the forwards, to go out there and get the job done. Because the main refrain we have heard about the Golden Knights all postseason long is that he trusts the players to go out and play. He trusts them in these moments because they have been here before, they have done it before, and they have come through on the other side with tremendous performances. And I think if you look at this run for the Golden Knights, if you have been around for this run from Vegas, when they get a little bit of momentum, when they start to have that belief, when they realize just how good they are and how far they've come and how close a Stanley Cup championship is to them, I absolutely believe they're going to find their best game of the series. So I don't think you're going to see a different goaltender for the Vegas Golden Knights. I was asked this going into the series if I thought you would see Adin Hill in this series, and I said no. And even though Carter has allowed 4 goals in the first 5 games, each of the first 5 games of the Stanley Cup final, I don't expect there to be a different goaltender leading the Golden Knights out in game number 6. I just don't expect it. I think Torts has his guy. I think Torts believes wholeheartedly in Carter Hart. And I think he believes in the team to match the level of intensity they're going to need to match to get to in order to force a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final. I'll take a break, come back with more in a moment. It's the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
You're listening to the VGK Insider Show.
VGK Insider Show rolling along here on a Friday. Hour number 2 coming along here in just a few minutes, but we found somebody. Darren Millard, he's back in Vegas.
Rolling back in. I actually did the podcast today from section gate 123 at the Orlando airport. So that was interesting. Having people looking over going, why is this guy talking so distinctly? Because there's a different delivery than when you're just on the phone with somebody or FaceTiming somebody than when you're actually doing a broadcast, which a podcast is. And my earbuds weren't working, so I had to just go off the little speakerphone, try to find a little corner, but still drew the odd stare or look over as we tried to get into the Stanley Cup final, which will feature the Stanley Cup in the building for the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we knew that it would, obviously, when Carolina made it a 2-2 series in Game 4. But now we know the Golden Knights have to win Game 6. Like, that's the reality.
Yeah, first
right?
time facing elimination in the entire playoffs.
I know. And it's wild to kind of think about it, right? That you are able to get through and navigate a run like the Golden Knights have without having to kind of be in this position until now. But that's what happens when you're a good team. When you are efficient in the first 3 rounds, you don't put yourself in a position where you've got to face elimination. And now Vegas is going to have to come up with their best game of the playoffs.
I thought Vegas played its best first period of the final, but Carolina played easily its best game of the final in Game 5.
Yeah, it's interesting because I touched on that yesterday during the post game. Like, I love Vegas's first period. I thought they were excellent. It was exactly what you wanted to see from them in that game. I loved their first period. And then Carolina, who had really not gotten the job done in the second period in the series so far, probably came back with their best second period of the
two penalties
series too.
Derailed any momentum
100%.
or rhythm for Vegas.
They did, and the injury to William Karlsson. Like, you can't look at the second period and not take those into account for the Golden Knights. The 2 penalties were costly. Losing William Karlsson was costly, and credit Carolina for being opportunistic and taking advantage of it.
I didn't see Carolina doing this on the power play. Coming into this series, it was hands down. Vegas had the advantage on special teams, and Carolina has won a couple of games strictly based on their power play performance.
Now, I didn't see it either. How do the Golden Knights get the job done on the penalty kill? Because I think that's going to be a big thing for me going into Game 6. Like, they're going to have to come out with a strong performance on the penalty kill.
Well, you got to start with that area right in front of the net.
Yeah.
And that's been devoured by the Carolina Hurricanes, whether it's Jordan Staal or whether it's Svechnikov last night with a tap in. They've got to be stronger or more disciplined with their defending in front of the net. Maybe that goes to stopping the puck from getting there. Maybe they're more aggressive just with their pursuit of the puck when it's on the perimeter.
Yeah, it's really interesting because the Golden Knights have had some really good looks shorthanded. Like, they have had some dangerous chances shorthanded. So there's been times where the penalty kills look really, really good, but Carolina's got a power play goal now in 4 straight games, and I did not see that coming going into this series.
It seems odd, but we kind of had a normal game, and I'm not really comfortable with it. It was a normalish game last night.
Yeah, but if Theodore's shot doesn't hit the post and it's 4-3 with like 4 minutes left, it gets really uncomfortable quick.
Now you're just throwing things out there, if, ands, or buts.
Yeah, I know. It's okay.
Hour 2 is coming up next on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Live from the Richard Harris Law Firm Studios.
Marner que va a dejar el puck, como siempre, en Jack Eichel. Acá viene Jack Eichel, por el centro. Viene Jack. El pase en cortito es bueno para Jack Eichel. Lo pone frente a la red, el disparo. ¡Gol!
with Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
Viene entonces por el costado izquierdo, el puck, hielo neutral, el pase es bueno. Acá viene el equipo de los Vegas Golden Knights. Vamos a ver si saca el disparo, frena. Tiene espacio por el costado izquierdo, el disparo, va y lo suelta. ¡Gol! Nuevamente Pavel Dorofeyev. ¡Gol! Alejandro, 4-2.
This is the VGK Insiders Show.
Aprovecha todavía 6 segundos de power play para ellos. El puck se va a la parte trasera de la portería. Rotando el puck, allá va Pavel Dorofeyev, peleado en el costado derecho. Hay que sacar el puck, ya lo sacaron. Viene el equipo de los Vegas Golden Knights. Busca el espacio para sacar el disparo. ¡Lo hacen! ¡Gol!
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Catch your breath, regroup. Got a big game coming up on Sunday. It's the VGK Insider Show. Tracking the Stanley Cup Final, 2026 NHL Championship Series. Has the Carolina Hurricanes up 3-2 on the Vegas Golden Knights. For the first time in this series, the team's won back-to-back games, and that puts Carolina within reach of the Stanley Cup with a victory. Game 6, Sunday at the Fortress, 5 o'clock. It'll be rocking. The Vegas Golden Knights need a performance. The Carolina Hurricanes will have 60-odd hours to think about it. Fans,
Sure.
family will all be chartered out because it's a potential clinching game. I think you got to lean into that and use it to your advantage. Hope that there's a bit of a distraction on that side, and you can jump on them. It's Darren Millard, Ryan Wallace. Looking forward to chatting over the next hour on the VGK Insider Show. The Stanley Cup Final has been back and forth, and for the first time, we've got a team enjoying consecutive wins.
Yeah, and I think for the Golden Knights, there are some things to pull out of Game 5, but you said it. They need a performance, and when Vegas this postseason has had opportunity to close out an opponent, they have delivered a tremendous performance, a great game. They're going to need that same type of performance in order to keep this one going. And the reality is, like, the opportunity in front of Vegas is you win on home ice, you win Game 6. Then you've got one game for the championship, right? Like, it's what this series deserves in a lot of ways because it's been so fun, it's been so entertaining. So for the Golden Knights, they've got to find a way to deliver their best game of the playoffs on Sunday night.
And there's little signs of that you could draw from Game 5 that certainly point in a positive direction. No, they lost. I realized that they weren't able to hold that first period lead. You lost a key player in William Karlsson, not likely to play based on the words from John Tortorella afterwards, and we'll get to some of his sound in just a little bit. But Jack Eichel and Pavel Dorofeyev connecting. Mm-hmm. Love that. When Pavel gets 1, he gets 5. He's got 2. Let's ride that going forward. I think the blue line has another level or 2 to play and offer in this series. That to me is a positive because there's room to grow there, and there is more performance available in goal. And I don't think there's been a bad goal scored in this series. There's been fluky goals. There's been weird goals. There's been goals that you'd like saves on, but there's been no bad goals. Now there's no choice. You need from your goaltender one of those games where you allow 1 or 2 or less in the next 2 games to give your team a real chance to win. You need 2 wins to win the Stanley Cup. I know it starts with 1 to extend the series, but 2 wins to win the Stanley Cup. They've done that throughout the year in the playoffs numerous times. It's not out of reach, even though when you get into a series and you ride these waves and you get so confident and then you get so uneasy based on the results. I really do have confidence in what Vegas can offer up in the next 2 games. And force this into a dramatic finish in the Stanley Cup final. There's so many different angles to look to say Vegas can get it done here. Now, Carolina played its best game of the final last night. Their big players came out. That's as good as it gets right there from Carolina. Could they have scored more goals? Yeah, but if you're doing up a game plan on how to succeed from the Carolina side of things, that was it. Like they executed brilliantly last night from Aho, Svechnikov, Stahl scoring and being able to take over a game and protect their goaltender in Brandon Bussey. Vegas can score more than 2. Vegas can be better on the power play. Vegas can defend better. Vegas can allow fewer goals. There's certainly little bits out of last night. The first period I loved from the Vegas Golden Knights. Dorofeyev scoring last night. Pav and Hurdle and Jack on that rush on the power play. I thought that was a great new wrinkle. Haven't seen that give and go. A little bump in neutral ice. There's that. But there's certainly another level. And when you consider the level of play available to them, and they only lost by a couple, I think that you can certainly grab onto that and be optimistic that Vegas can extend this series and put themselves into a position of a winner game all Game 7 next Wednesday in Carolina. And here's the best part about it. There's 2 days between Games 5 and 6. There's 2 days between Games 6 and 7. If you're fatigued at all, you're a little down, you're grinding right now, you get a chance to really collect yourself. Vegas flew home today. They'll have a full practice tomorrow, an opportunity to tweak things a little bit, and the entire focus is on winning Sunday. Carolina hasn't been through this as a group. And there's so many distractions. I remember when my buddy Jared Stoll went through this for the first time with the Los Angeles Kings. And they had to get all the names for the family to throw on the charter for the LA Kings to travel in case they clinched and the family all wants to be there, obviously, and teams travel. It'll be the same for Vegas. If they have an opportunity to play a Game 7, there'll be a charter with all the family. That will go to Raleigh. That's happening right now in Carolina. They're putting that together, and the players are being asked to put their list together. Who's in town? Who's coming to town? Who's going to make that trip? Their focus will be on the opportunity in front of them. That can be overwhelming at times, and Stoli didn't win that game. That they had everything together. It becomes if you've never been through it before, it's consuming. If Vegas wins Game 6 and they're in that situation, they know what goes into winning a Stanley Cup. I think they'll be very focused. I put the advantage of navigating that little distraction towards the Golden Knights, on top of the other elements that I've stated.
Yeah, I think for me, coming out of last night's game, the fact that Pavel Dorofeyev has entered the conversation is massive for the Vegas Golden Knights. We have chronicled it on this program throughout the entirety of the postseason, and you mentioned it already. When he scores 1, he scores 5. He's got 3 more to go. Right? That's on the table. That's going to happen. It is what it is. That's what Pavel does. I have liked Jack Eichel's game for a couple of games now. He's been in and around it. Certainly a bit unlucky in terms of finishing in Game 4. Had a couple of assists in Game 5. That's positive for Jack moving forward. I think that there are areas where Vegas is still playing really well. I think they're still creating enough offensive chances. The execution hasn't been there the last couple of games.
I thought they did in the first period last night. Their shot volume was up. They weren't passing up opportunities. In fact, it was noticeable that they were putting more pucks on net. Second period and third period, the flow of the game got away from them. And by the way, the officials, like Vegas got 3 power plays last night.
Yeah.
All 3 were
Delay game.
yes.
Yeah.
That's not an arbitrary call.
No.
I don't like to get on them, but let's figure it out a little bit more succinctly than just delay a game. Like they draw more than that. Anyway,
Yeah.
Can we get to the Tortorella's post-game sound last night, because it sets up a couple of things that we need to pick up on. One's William Karlsson. The other thing is the speculation about a change in goals. So here's John Tortorella after the Game 5 loss last night.
John, did you feel like the momentum shifted after those back-to-back penalties?
Yeah, both sets, right? The first 2 and then the 4-minute minor hurt us.
Front left, Chris.
John, in a spot like this, what do you want your team to draw on as you look ahead and move forward?
We're just going to get ready for our next game. We'll be back here. We're just going to do it in a different order.
Front right, Ken.
You went to Marner, Eichel, and Stone together. Did you like how that went, and how did you like the rest of the lineup after you went to it?
Yeah, but when we lose Bill, it kind of screws things up. So we'll see where we go with our lines.
Left side, third row, Matt.
Nick Dad and Braden McNabb were just talking about liking their game outside of the penalties, and I'm just curious if you felt the same way.
Yeah, I thought we had a good start. We had a really good start. We lost momentum when we went back-to-back in penalties. It's about the same time that we lost Bill. We got to find a way. I'm going to leave my clothes here, that's for sure. They'll be in the hotel.
Back right, Tracy.
John, you mentioned losing Karlsson. Is there any update on
No
how
update.
he's doing? But you've talked about some of those guys, including him, the guys who have been here since the start, and what do you lose when you lose a guy like that?
Well, he's an important piece to us. Up the middle of the ice, penalty killer, power play guy. He's a winner. But having said that, it's all good stuff. He's not going to be with us, probably. We got to find a way to fill that void. Not with just one guy, but as a team.
Left side, standing up.
John, did you consider at all going to Aiden Hill in the third period, or was there any conversation or thought about it?
Christ, that could be the stupidest question I've heard.
Anything else for John? Back right, Dan.
John, just their power play. What are you seeing in terms of your PK and what you need to do a little bit better on in that situation?
Yeah, at times I thought we were good. I think we need, again, I don't want to get too involved with you guys. There are some situations I think we can push them and be more aggressive. Last one, they basically score off a rush. We got caught up the ice, and it was an odd man rush. At times I thought we did a good job, but we have to complete it. It's tough with the back-to-backs, and so we'll look at it.
Yeah, back-to-backs. They had 2 straight penalties that were called against them in the second period. Then you had the Mark Stone double minor.
Sure.
And I thought it actually should have been just a minor. It sounds like I'm all over the officials. I think that they do a fabulous job, but I do believe Vegas created more opportunities for power plays than just the Carolina Hurricanes putting the puck out of the net. And that double minor for high sticking, I didn't see it get him. It got his helmet, but I didn't see any damage to the face, so I question that. But it was graphic. It flipped the helmet right off, so I get a little bit of that. So let's get into Carter Hart first. The question that came, and I think it's the Athletic that's gone down this path most regarding a potential change in goal for the Vegas Golden Knights. And they cited a lot of the numbers and statistics and different elements about the goaltending in the entire series, but then speculated about Vegas Golden Knights making a change and putting Aiden Hill in either in Game 5 in the third period, which you heard the question, and certainly got Tortorella's take on it, or potentially starting Aiden Hill in Game 6. Are you just writing the story to create controversy, or are you writing the story because you truly believe that that's a possibility? I want that answer from the group that put that out, because I don't know anybody who would make that change in goal for Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. Bring me the different guys that put the piece together, and I think it was a collection of guys. I don't know whether CJ was part of it or LeBrun was part of it, but a few of the other guys were certainly had their fingerprints all over it. Like, where's that coming from? Like, realistically, are we just at a point where we're just going to go, okay, they've allowed a bunch of goals in the series. There's been no terrible goals, but are we just saying because Carolina changed goaltenders, Vegas should change goaltenders? Is that it, or is it the cumulative goal total that has prompted them to say Vegas is going to change goalies in the most important game of the year when the backup hasn't played for 2 months? Or are they saying we got to write something? We need a unique angle, so let's go with this. That'll get people talking. Yeah, it gets people talking, and you do have some people that will jump on the bandwagon of that type of story, but there's no factual basis to it or factual possibility of it occurring. It's not going to come to fruition. Carter Hart isn't terrible right now. Needs to make a couple of saves, but he's not awful right now. I don't see a struggling guy in net right now. Needs to make a couple more saves. Needs to have a game where it's 2 or less. I agree with that, but he's not letting in goals from everywhere. Number 2, that's a terrible spot to put Adin Hill in. An absolutely horrible position to put Adin Hill in if you think that you're going to change goaltenders in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final when Adin Hill hasn't played a minute of the Stanley Cup playoffs and didn't play a lot in the final 8 that John Tortorella coached. So you're going to put Adin Hill into that spot? It would take a couple of games, you'd think, to find his rhythm. And that's why Carolina was fortunate in a way that the double overtime game, Bussy basically got a game in that night because of the third period rally, and he got a bit of reps, and that made Game 5 and 4 and 5 a little bit easier for him. And for those that say, well, Carolina did it, it worked for them, they had 2 choices, Carolina, because Freddie Anderson wasn't or isn't available.
Yeah.
He's hurt. He's not resting. He's hurt. So they had 2 choices. Start Brandon Bussy or go with 6 skaters. Those are their 2 choices. I think Rod Brindamore made the right choice, going with Brandon Bussy. Citing the Carolina Hurricanes as an example is factually incorrect because they had to make a change. Vegas doesn't have to make a change, nor will they make a change, nor should they make a change because of both the performance of Carter Hart and the awful situation it would put Adin Hill in.
So I think you've touched on pretty much everything that I think is going on. It's the sense that, again, you're looking at 4 goals against every single game so far in the Stanley Cup Final.
Too many.
Though I agree with you, there have been big saves from Carter Hart. There have been big moments where Carter's come through and helped this team win the 2 games that they've won so far in the Stanley Cup Final. And while you would love a save or 2 more per game, are they bad goals? No, I don't think so. But it's still 4 goals per game each of the first 5 games in the Stanley Cup Final. And then you start to think about Adin Hill, his track record with the Golden Knights, his track record in series coming off the bench after not playing for a while and the runs that he went on. Not the Stanley Cup final. I'll give you that 100%.
He's done it twice.
Second round.
He's
it
done it
happened
twice.
in the second round in 22-23, and he wins the Stanley Cup.
Right.
And it happened in the first round in 23-24, where
Didn't
he
win the
came
series.
in and didn't win the series, but did win a Game 6 to force a Game 7. So all those things I think are contributing factors here. But if I'm guessing as to what the main reason is, and I'm guessing based on where the fan base is and what I'm seeing on the text line and what I've heard in the post-game show the last couple of games, it's the goals. It's just simply the fact that there have been 4 goals allowed per game each of the first 5 games in the Stanley Cup final.
Too many. Needs to come down. I fully admit that. And that's on the team, that's on the blue line to insulate a little bit more, and that's on Carter Hart. You need 1 or 2 more saves, 2 or less. That's what you're looking at. But here's the greatest perspective that I can give you. Mm-hmm. The numbers are not good on either side, really. In this place, it's got the potential to be one of the worst goals against average, save percentages, goals saved above expected, all those numbers. One of the worst goaltending performances in Stanley Cup final history. It's already that. You can't change that now.
Right.
Like it's already going to be wonky. But you've got 2 games. You give me 2 good games on either side, whether it's Bussy and Carolina's hoping he can deliver that, or Carter Hart. 2 good games. It doesn't have to be pretty at any point now. It doesn't even. Carter Hart can give up 4 and 4 in games 6 and 7 as long as Vegas is scoring at a rate that they hope that they can. Like, nobody's going to care at this point. I would like him to be 2 or less, but you've got a guy who's spent his entire career in the American Hockey League, and you've got to find a way to take advantage of that inexperience or the reason why he was never a National Hockey League goaltender. And the goalies mature in and around this age, and so that he's not off the track. It's unusual, but I've seen guys blossom at this age before. But you got to find a way to take advantage of that, of him, of that predicament. But to think that you're going to put somebody in a position in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final in an elimination game when they haven't played in 2 months is one of the most left field asinine takes that I've heard, other than just trying to stir up a conversation. And it would be the ultimate sports talk radio conversation topic, except we're not going down that path because it's too much for us to even go there.
Yeah, it's not happening. We know that. And to your point about the series, goaltending, the numbers, all of it, I said this in the pregame show yesterday. I said it in the postgame show after, and I said it right before you came on here. This is a series where the only statistic that's going to mean anything when it comes to the goaltenders is wins and losses. Yep. That's what you're going to be measured on in this series. And if Carter Hart can find 2 more wins in this series and win a Stanley Cup, it's not going to matter what his save percentage was. It's not going to matter what his goals against were. It's only going to matter that he got 4 wins instead of 3 or 2.
From a game starting point of view, this is Carter Hart's series. This is Carter Hart's Stanley Cup playoffs. The rest of the way, if it ends in 6, it's his. If it goes to 7, it's his. If everybody's healthy, it's his. There's no change coming. Period. And I was disappointed to see and hear some of that chatter because it's not realistic. And citing Carolina isn't an apples to apples comparison. They had to do it. Have they got better goaltending? Yeah. Have they played better defensively? For sure they have.
Yes.
So yeah. But Carter Hart, he's your guy. Win or lose, he's your guy, and Vegas knows it. The team knows it. Carter Hart knows it, and Aiden Hill knows it.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think anyone inside the organization has any scenarios in their head where they don't know what is going to happen in Game 6. Like, I know Carter Hart's going to start. John Tortorella is trusting and believing in his guy, and it's the same thing that he said all playoffs long when it comes to not just Carter but the team. He trusts them to go out, find a good game, play their best game, and answer these challenges. So
One more on this.
That's what
was the score after 2 last night?
3-1, right? Yeah,
right.
3-1.
Yeah. And the question was, did you consider putting in Aiden Hill? It was a 3-1 game. 3-1 game. And hey, Torts could use a little work on the bedside manner. I'm not saying.
Do you think that's going to change at this stage? Like,
I'm not saying that he couldn't use a little sandpaper to file down some of the sharp edges in some of the answers, but I was with him on that answer. John and I talked about it in the podcast today. We both agreed. It was 3-1. If it's 5-1, 6-1, well, get him out and get him some rest. Save the fatigue factor. And
sure,
that's it. 3-1. You're asking a question, knowing you're going to get like that. That was almost baiting John Torts a little bit on that. I was shocked, and I've talked to a few people around the league about it, a couple of media people, but also a couple of players, former players, and one of them reached out to me on it and was flabbergasted. Like, he wanted to know, where's this coming from? It's like, it's not a real possibility, and because they're kind of shocked that it was even a conversation. And the Chicklets guys brought it up, but I don't like those guys. They're after something totally different. They're after downloads, clicks, and promo sound bites. I get that, but and I understand why they're doing that, but not if you're covering the series from a legitimate perspective. Frustrated with this. I want to take a break. I'll get to the William Karlsson side of it next. It's the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Stay with us.
Karlsson left corner, centered, one-timer, score!
It's time for One-Timers. A quick look at news and notes from around the National Hockey League. Brought to you by Paul Pata Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
William Karlsson, his status, and how it plays out if he's not available for Game 6 in just a little bit. But first, some news from the National Hockey League. The first and second All-Star teams were announced today. So this is different than being named as an All-Star, which happens with the All-Star game whenever that's held. This year it was bypassed for the Olympic Games. This is the end of year, first and second. It's kind of forgotten about, but it's actually a really important list. It's the best player at your position, basically. It's like the baseball's Golden Gloves, but it doesn't get the attention that it deserves. But here it is, the first All-Star team. In goal, Andrei Vasilevsky, who's the Vezina Trophy winner, so that fits. On the blue line, Zach Werenski from Columbus, Cale Makar of Colorado, and up front at center, Connor McDavid with Nikita Kucherov of Tampa, and Jason Robertson is a first-team All-Star from Dallas for the second time over on the left side. Interesting, because they've got a real decision to make, and the Stars and Jason Robertson, it doesn't sound like they're close. And in fact, I've heard Now with Dylan Larkin wanting to out of Detroit,
Sure.
Does Robertson get sent to Detroit and they do a contract that way, and Larkin ends up in Dallas? But we'll see. For some reason, there's been a sticking point there with Robertson, and all he does is produce. It's also weird because he wasn't an Olympian either. So that's impressive. Like, you basically got guys that were all Olympians or would have been Olympians had Russia participated, but Jason Robertson, a first-team All-Star, did not go to the Olympic Games, and you can't debate it because Team USA won. But it's interesting.
Yeah, I was steadfast in my belief that Jason Robertson should have gone to the Olympics for Team USA. I think Jason Robertson's a heck of a player. Like you said, all he does is score. All he does is produce. Like, he doesn't really, find too many scenarios where he's not putting the puck in the back of the net. So yeah, I think it's a deserved honor for him, a deserved accolade for him, and a consolation prize for not being there to win a gold medal at the Olympics.
No Golden Knight representatives on the first or second All-Star teams, but Mitch Marner and Mark Stone did get votes on the right wing category. Interesting. Mitch played more games at center this year, but Mitch was sixth in first, second All-Star team selection voting. He was sixth there, and Mark Stone was ninth. Mitch Marner got 26 vote totals, and actually he got 16 votes, but the way the point system goes, so he got 16 votes, and Mark Stone got 2 votes, ballots in his favor. And from a Vegas Golden Knight perspective, that was it from the representation. And wild, right? Like, you got a team that's pretty darn competitive
year over year, winning division titles.
Like, how many Olympians did they have? And star players.
Sure.
And the center ice position is stacked.
Right.
So that's where Celebrini was third, Suzuki was fourth, Sidney Crosby got votes, Scheifele had a good year, he got votes, but nothing for Jack in that category, and that Golden Knight blue line, whether it's Shea Theodore, whether it's Noah Hannafin, you expect some guys to get some nibbles on that, but nothing. Like, Darren Radish got some votes. Jake Sandin.
Yeah.
A lot of Eastern bias here. I'm not gonna lie on that. Although Nate Schmidt, our buddy Nate Schmidt got one vote.
Good. Well, first of all, good for Nate Schmidt.
Sorry, Nate. But what's going on there?
Listen. Here's the deal. Like, if you're gonna get a vote for Nate Schmidt, and you don't have anything for Shea Theodore, when this was a season for Shea where he took on more responsibility, penalty killing, filling in the role that was left vacant by Alex Pietrangelo, it can't be that serious, right? Like, I'm surprised. I understand why Jack's not on this. I understand why he didn't get a vote. When you look at the center depth and everything that's stacked there, I get it. But to not have Shea Theodore on the list makes no sense to me.
Surprised Matthew Schaefer didn't finish higher in the voting for that.
He was very good.
Really, just all the attention that he got.
Yeah, very good.
Schaefer finished ninth among defensemen.
Yeah.
All right. When it comes to William Karlsson, and it doesn't sound positive based on Tort's comments last night after the game.
Yeah.
And his reaction when he was told about the injury was you could tell there was more to it than he's going to get taped up. Yeah. I will say this: if it is whatever it is, it sounds like it's bad enough. It kept him out of last night, half the game, and it could keep him out of the rest of the series. That dude's got a tolerance for pain, because he squeezed the hand, and there was no wincing at all, and then he just skated off the ice.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
Between Braden McNabb and William Karlsson, like, wow, they're hockey players. So where does Vegas go if William Karlsson does not play Sunday? We went back to the last time Karlsson was not in the lineup. That was Game 6 against the Utah Mammoth. The lines that night were Barbashev, Eichel, Dorofeev, Howden, Marner at center with Stone, Riley Smith, Hurdle, Keegan Colasar on the third line, and then Smith, Dowd, and Sissons. That your centers were Eichel, Marner, Hurdle, Dowd.
Sure.
Smith was in the lineup. Do you see that happening, or do you put Sissons in the middle and move Marner to the wing? There's some real options here for John Tortorella to work with. I've heard the balance angle versus load up.
Yeah.
You've got 2 games left, and you've got 2 games in 6 days, basically, if you go the distance.
Sure.
I load up. I load up.
I see. I'm kind of leaning toward that too. Like, but I don't know that I want to. I don't know that I want to load up with Marner, Eichel, and Stone together on a line. I want to separate them as much. Mainly Eichel and Marner. I'd like them to be driving their own line. So I keep kind of going back and forth. Do I like Barbashev, Eichel, and Dorofeev enough to lean into, say, Howden, Marner, Stone? Yeah, kinda. But at the same time, like, Mark Stone, Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel has been a very good line for a couple of years. And then that frees up the opportunity to put Pavel Dorofeev alongside Mitch Marner and Brett Howden, and that could work as well. So I'm in. I don't know what I like more, leaning into game number 6.
If Eichel's going to play, I think it's Barbashev and Eichel. I would like to see that same thing. On the right side, I think it's Pav or it's Stone.
Sure.
And you keep the Howden Marner combination
that's
together.
The pair.
And try to complement them. But so that could be Stone, that could be Dorofeev on that second line. So I think it's Barbashev, Eichel, and one of Dorofeev, Stone, and it's Howden, Marner, one of Dorofeev or Stone. Now somebody's got to come in. I've got this just feeling, and the feeling revolves around Riley Smith. Now,
sure.
he played early in the playoffs. He actually came out when Karlsson returned, but he played in that first round series against Utah. I've got this just something's nibbling there with Riley Smith, and you need 2 wins, experience. He's fresh. He's passionate. He's scored 16 goals this year. He's contributed. Like it's not like he had a down year. Like you want to write a script. Well, there's a pretty good angle there of a storybook.
There's a lot of feels for sure. There's a lot of nostalgia for sure. And the last time Riley Smith played a Stanley Cup final game inside T-Mobile Arena, he scored a pretty big goal. So, like, I'm with it. I think the most likely options, right, and it's 2. It would be Riley and it would be Brandon Saad. I don't think you're going in any other direction but those 2 players specifically. And, for everything that you just mentioned, Riley Smith's importance to the Vegas Golden Knights specifically as an organization, give Riley an opportunity. Like, he's come in big moments and scored big goals. It's a must-win game. Lean into it.
Now, you could put Sissons in between Howden and Marner. You could do that.
Could do that.
I played with this on the plane today, and I had a bunch of different combinations. Way too many for me to run through on the air. But there's a lot of room for creativity here with if there's the absence of William Karlsson. And this is the conversation that deserves some serious in-depth discussion. Not changing goaltenders.
Yeah, I mean this is the biggest decision for John Tortorella going into Game 6. How is he going to configure the lines without William Karlsson in a must-win game? And we've watched a lot of different combinations over the course of this playoffs. It's massive.
And the best part about Sunday is it doesn't care how you get to the end result of a victory.
You're right.
It doesn't. It doesn't care if it's 5 overtimes, whether it's a blowout victory or something in between. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. All the style points at every position are out.
Yeah.
And Vegas, I said it on the pregame show last night outside Lenovo Center. Vegas has 5 guys who played in the biggest game of this season. In that game, Canada-US in Milan.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff, even without Karlsson, there's a lot of stuff available there. A big time talent. You got to make it happen. And goalie got to be better. Defense has got to be tighter. Offense and the power play got to convert more. But saying all that, just find a way.
Yeah. That's the reality. That's the opportunity. Win a game, force a Game 7.
And I think it happens.
Find a way.
I do
too.
The conversation I had with the former player today, what do you think? I think they find a way to win. I don't think that this schedule is perfectly set up for the team that's trailing 3-2 because of the space that's in the series.
Yeah.
It's perfectly set up. Those are one-timers. News and notes from around the National Hockey League. Final thoughts with Darren and Ryan next on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
I'm on fire over here, lads. Come on, I need some back and forth. Come on, what do you got for me? What do you got for me? Now make it quick. Make it funny.
We're down to the wire. It's the last minute of play.
Think about this. What an opportunity for Carter Hart. Game 6. Win. You force Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. All the noise and all the numbers around this series go away if you win. It's already going to be a talking point, Ryan, if Vegas doesn't rally.
For sure.
He can't do anything about that, but he can still win. And I think that is just such a really cool opportunity for Carter Hart.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he can do about it, right? Like, there's nothing that you're going to be able to do to change what's happened. There's no going back through the first 5 games and finding an extra save or 2. Like, you can't do that. But
and somebody's going to write, he let in 5 straight games of 4 goals or more. Yeah, but he won. Like, if he wins and that happens, somebody's going to really write that? No, they're going to say Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah, 100%. Like, the reality is it's 2 more wins, right? 2 more wins erases anything.
I think
it's everything.
It's just a wonderful opportunity where nothing has to be pretty. It's not about the process anymore. Nothing.
Yeah.
Forwards, defense, goalie. It's just about you got to win the game. Have a great one. We'll talk to you on Monday when we either will be talking about the final or a Game 7.